Evening all, how you doing? Gruppen Fuhrer Paul, Dave Harris, Alan Lloyd, Davy Scott, Professor Andy, Kevin, Winston, Al's in. Glad you're still up and about, Alan. Matt McCoy, Dave Lampard, Kirky, Shelley Maguire, now then. Richard Eric, hey up. Bill, Alan, Carl, Nick Yak, Kirky Bally's in. How you doing, Zardoz? Your message has been retracted. Don't know why. That was before I even got in. Susan's a busy girl. Trenton, Origami, now then. Big Fat Cat, Two-Tone, Santiago. Hello there. Jack Bellaby, hope all is well in Yorkshire. How's everyone doing? That window's a bit small, isn't it? Let me see if I can grow it a little bit. It gets bigger when I rub it. Right. First things first. Biggest headline is obviously about the climate. It says UN emissions report a thundering wake-up call. How is it a wake-up call when you've done nought but whinge about it for 10 years? How is it a wake-up call? It's like your mother waking you up every 5 minutes for 3 hours and then you complaining about it because you miss work. It's not a wake-up call when all you've done for a decade is piss and whine about the same topic over and over and over and over again. How's that a wake-up call? We know what you're going to say. We know what the UN emissions report's going to say. Is anybody labouring under the delusion that the UN emissions report was going to come out and say, oh, you know what? Actually, we've made a mountain out of a molehill. There's no problem with the emissions. Oh, there's no problem at all. That's why the Chinese are building 50 coal power stations this year. There's no problem with the emissions. Fuck each other senseless. Have as many kids as you like. Don't eat cockroaches. Have a steak, son. Have a steak. Who wants to eat insects? In fact, bite that cow's head off. Bite its head off now. We need more meat to be eaten. It's lunacy. So again, straight off the bat, I disagree with your premise. It's not a wake-up call. It's all you've done. Moaned about it. Yeah, actually, I've, as usual, being the understated chap that I am, I've understated, haven't I? Vivian is correct. They've whinged about it for decades and decades and decades. They were whinging about it in the 90s. I remember being in high school, secondary school, being all American, secondary school. They were moaning about it, saying, oh, fucking hell, all the ice caps are going to melt. We're all going to be underwater by 2005. It's like, what do you mean? A thundering wake-up call. Right-o, lads. We knew what it was going to say. It's not manufacturing outrage. We knew what it was going to say. You know what? I've actually thought today, there's so much bollocks on the BBC homepage. I might not even click any of them. Just to mix things up a little bit. Maybe I can just do quick fire news. Because honestly, there's so much shit on there today. I feel like I was looking through. I normally spend 5 minutes before I come on. I mean, this is the professionalism you want, right? I normally spend 5 minutes going through the BBC website, just clicking on stories that look interesting, and then I line them up in my browser, like 2 or 3, and think we'll talk about them. That's about as professional as it goes. As you know from watching the end credits of the BBC Spews pre-recorded edition, scripts we don't do here in the Angry Bootneck house. We do winging it, right? We winged the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. We might as well wing our broadcasting, right? Which, hence the reason we invaded a desert with everybody dressed up in green rig. There's your biggest clue that we've been winging it for decades. That it's a nation run by absolute chimps, right? We invaded Afghanistan, which is like 80% fucking desert. There's only a green belt in Afghanistan anywhere there's a river, and there ain't many of them. I think Kajaki was one of the only places I went in Helmand province that was actually quite green. We invaded Afghanistan and everybody was dressed in shiny black boots and green rig, which you couldn't make up, could you? I remember when everyone was whinging, saying, we've got shiny black boots that you make us polish every day, right? And they absorb the sunshine because they're black and leather, and they boil your fucking feet when you're in the middle of the desert. And they went, oh yeah, I suppose we should get some Desi boots. Like, this is when people are on the ground in Afghanistan, dressed in the green rig with the shiny black boots. Oh yeah, maybe we should get some Desi rig. And they started flying it in when people were already there. And when I was in Iraq, I remember people were saying, oh, we need some better socks, they're too hot, these. They sent us some desert socks. I still wear them. Because they're dead good for wearing in freezing cold climates and going and protecting your feet. Because they're about 4 inches thick and the warmest socks you'll ever wear. Like, everything we do arse backwards. It's like if we go to Norway, they'll give you some socks 1/2 inch thick. But if you go to the searing desert land in the middle of July, they'll give you your shiny black boots and some fucking Eskimo clothes. It's fucking lunacy. Yeah, Matt remembers. The Bootneck doesn't make things up. Yes, he swears a lot and he plays it by ear, but he doesn't make things up. I do not lie, and I won't, because I don't work for the fucking BBC. You can't lie when you're criticising the BBC and the mainstream media all the time, can you? Because if you get caught lying, you've got the credibility that they have. And frankly, they haven't got any credibility. I'd rather go for a drink with Bill Cosby than any of the people who work for the BBC. That is how little I trust them. Bill Cosby or Emily Maitlis. I'll go for a pint with Bill. I'll just, jam a shampoo bottle up my arse before I go. I might be all right. It's madness. All they do is lie. The Bolshevik brainwashing corporation, indeed so, Matthew. So yeah, instead of going into a deep dive on any of these stories, I'm just going to roll down the homepage and just pick on it. Because I just had a quick scroll there and I was like astounded at how ridiculous it all was. I was like, is this fucking news, is it? Like, seriously, this is the BBC homepage. Today, I'll just scroll down the homepage. I won't even click on any of them. Because I just want to demonstrate what you're getting for your money. Right? What the great British taxpayer's getting for the money. This is what you're paying for, ladies and gents, right? Bear in mind, half the world is fucked. Yeah, we've got all sorts going on. We've got rising tensions with China. We've got American soldiers on the ground in about 8 other countries. We've got bombs dropping. We've got famine, disease, pandemic, fucking everything. And all the BBC wants to talk about is pure, unmitigated bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It's shocking. If you buy a broadsheet newspaper, you get news. If you read something sensible, I mean, again, I did cancel my Telegraph subscription because the Tory graph apparently got a bit woke, and it was after reading one of the stories that Sargon of Akkad shared with everybody, and I read it, and it was just pure fucking dross, like far left woke, militant feminist, man-hating bullshit. And I'd been paying for the Telegraph for years because, like I said, I try to support sensible media. And I just sent him an email and said, this is fucking dross. This is dross. I'm not paying for this shit. I'm not giving you my money so you can spread communist bollocks. And that's what I said yesterday about the tax thing. I feel guilty paying income tax now. You have to be very careful who you give your money to, or else it'll haunt you. Sensible people try and live moral lives because you can't get away from your inward monitor. It gets you when you least expect it. That's why it was a great piece of the movie The Machinist. Remember the film The Machinist? Not that good, but it wasn't terrible. It's quite famous. It goes viral a lot because that was where Christian Bale went from like normal weight to looking like, well, I nearly said Skeletor, but Skeletor's ripped to fuck. Looking like a living skeleton, right? Looking like an Ethiopian boy, except minus the flies. And basically the premise of the film is he can't sleep. He's got like chronic insomnia. And it turns out at the end of the film that it's because he's an horrible bastard and he killed someone and he didn't tell anyone. And then he finally comes clean and tells the coppers. And then at the very end, when he's in his cell, he finally falls asleep. And that's obviously, again, none of the stuff that any of these, modern sort of heroes, because nobody's got a dad, right? Jordan Peterson shouldn't be a hero. Sargon of Akkad shouldn't be as looked up to as he is. But the reason they are, again, and I like both of those people, I'm not slagging them off, but my point is one of, I'm like Brian on The Life of Brian. My message is, you should just look after yourself. You shouldn't need constantly getting told what to do by other people, by famous people, by talking heads. If your dad's done it, and if your mum and dad did the job properly, you should be able to handle life by yourself. You shouldn't need people to tell you. This stuff is painfully obvious to someone like me, like normal working class bloke. The wisdom you hear on your granddad's knee. My nana used to tell me loads of wise things that stayed with me all the rest of my life. Your parents, your grandparents. You don't need people to tell you all this stuff. And that is another truism. The message from the machinist, the message that Jordan Peterson tells people all the time. It's try and live a virtuous life, not because you get anything out of it, other than a clean conscience. And if you do, you sleep like a baby. If you know you've never seriously fucked anyone over, you sleep well. That's why I've got no bags under my eyes. Because I don't get pricked by my conscience. Now, I feel a little bit guilty about the fact we invaded Iraq and Afghanistan, and it turns out there was about as many weapons of mass destruction as there was under my nana's fucking fridge. But I was doing my duty. You know, I didn't brutalise any civilians, and I did my job professionally. So I feel a little bit guilty about it, but now it's going to keep me awake at night. So that was the message from that film, and it's a good one. Don't be an arsehole, and you're looking out for number one. Do something selfish, don't be a prick. And it's selfish, because really you're doing it for yourself. I mean, I'll do that. I've told my missus this before. I'm a very sort of chatty, open and engaging person. So when I'm out and about, I'm the type of person, like if I'm in London and I see an old woman struggling with a bag, I'll just go over and grab and go, all right, love, I'll carry that for you. Take it down 2 flights of stairs, give her it. And the amount of like people go, oh, thanks, they're dead nice about it. You don't do that to help the old woman. I mean, if I'm honest with myself, I'm not doing it to be nice. I do it because I get something out of that. I'm mega chatty. I'm always looking to talk to people and interact with people because it makes me feel better. I'm not an introverted person. They recharge the batteries by sitting in... I know all of this stuff from my missus telling me because obviously she's well versed on this stuff. Introverted people recharge the batteries by sitting in by themselves. They like to be in a quiet room and spend some time alone. People like me recharge our batteries by interacting with people. That's why I like doing this. And that's why I do things for people. It's not because I'm trying to help them out, because I get some out of it. I like the feeling I get when I carry a bag down the stairs to some old woman. And that's what I'm saying. Do it for you. Do it for yourself. It's not for anybody else. Just don't go out raping and pillaging. And trust me, you'll feel better. I mean, is that wisdom? No. Everyone should know that. Fucking hell. If your parents did the job properly, you should know it's a good idea not to be in a grooming gang. Not very controversial, is it? Anyway, let's scroll down the BBC homepage. That's my plan for the day. I'm not going to click on any of them. I'm just going to scroll through it and take the piss out of them by the headlines, right? Good. This is top drawer content. You know, we're doing a deep dive on the big issues of the day. Scroll down the BBC homepage, taking the piss out of them. Some might even call it lazy content. Some might say it's low effort. Well, to those people I say, fuck you. Right, so let's start with this one. UN emissions report, a thundering wake-up call. Yeah, not thundering. We knew what it was going to say before you published it. You've been saying the same thing for 30 fucking years, and you've been wrong for 30 years. So, yeah, not thundering, not a wake-up call, not controversial. Fuck the UN. What next? US white supremacy faces a legal reckoning. Again, why are we talking about this all the time? I've spent a lot of time in the United States. I've been at Alabama. I've been all over me. I'm very well travelled for a foreigner. I don't know how many US states I've been to. Don't count. I'm not that much of a sad bastard, but probably about 20. Been all over the shop. And in all those places I've been to Memphis, all of the South I'm just picking on here, because everyone gives the South shit. I've been to Memphis, I've been to like Tennessee. I've been to Kentucky. I went to Middlesbrough, Kentucky, just for a laugh. Took my missus there. Worst town ever. Well, obviously nicer than Middlesbrough, England, but it wasn't out there. It was a dry county. So we both wore our borough tops, and I got a photo of my missus stood under the sign saying "Welcome to Middlesbrough, Kentucky." And then we were like, right, let's go for a pint. Sure enough, there's no fucking beer anywhere. I don't know who I asked, some fucking woman in a cafe or something. I was like, where can I get a beer? And they're like, there is none. We don't have bars in this town. And I was like, about turn, yeah, same old, right turn, Clyde. Let's get the fuck out of here. So went there, been to Nashville, been to New Orleans. I said that like an American, didn't I? New Orleans. Been to Gashville, been to New Orleans, been to Huntsville, Alabama, been Kentucky, been to Virginia, been all over the bastard place. Went all the way across the country. I stopped in Little Rock, Arkansas. Had a night on the piss there. I remember telling one of my followers who's from Arkansas. Right through the middle of the country. And in all of those fucking places, I have never met one person who you would accurately describe as a white supremacist. I might have met prejudiced people who you can tell have sort of bought into that tribal mentality that the shitbags that run the world have been pushing for years about, trying to keep us separate by building walls up between different communities. And like I've always said, if you're an individualist like me, you don't buy into it. Maybe a higher percentage of certain groups think a certain thing. Yeah, let's not talk about the grooming gangs. but people are individuals. And that's the point I've made many times about it doesn't matter where you come from. You're born and raised in the UK. That is where you must inhabit. Because you can't paint with broad brushes. There's people whose parents, the kids roundly mock the parents for being superstitious and stupid about things. You can't bifurcate society by what you look like. It's your cultural opinions, whether or not you're a conservative or not, is basically what I like about people. And that isn't something as easy to clarify by religion or skin colour or something stupid like that. And I think 99% of society knows this. In America, I mean, a good argument about this is that you will get democratic people now. Well, they're not democratic people at all. They're fucking authoritarian, but they vote Democrat. And you'll get Democrats calling the inhabitants of states that voted for Obama. I had this out with my mother-in-law once because I was debating it with her. It's like, you've got people living in states that voted Democrat 5 elections in a row. Again, I've crunched the numbers. I remember reading about it years ago, and it was like the states where they voted Clinton, Obama, Trump. And you'll get Democrats with a straight face saying those people are racist because they don't like Trump. Sorry, because they like Trump and the person making the bad point likes Trump. You don't get to call those people racist. They've proved, I mean, you shouldn't call anyone a racist without evidence. It shouldn't be something you spit at people when you've got no evidence for it. But you don't get to call someone who voted for Barack Obama twice a racist because he's got hard evidence that he isn't, right? You shouldn't even need evidence because you have to have evidence to make a fucking accusation, normally. That's the only case, isn't it? When you're throwing left-wing slurs at people like misogynist or racist or homophobe. It's the only time people are happy to do it with no evidence. The legal standard is you're meant to have fucking evidence before you charge people. They'll just call, I mean, I get it every day. Every day, someone on Twitter will go, racist, misogynist, homophobe. They just reel them all off. I could be spitting a sailor's cock out and they'd still call me a homophobe if I had a fucking Trump hat on. That's the way they are. You could be trying to, fit 4 or 5 in at once. As long as you've got a Trump hat on, they'll call you. You could have a stripe of spunk going up your face and they'll call you a homophobe. If you're wearing a MAGA hat, it's a mad state of affairs. It's a mad world we're living in. And they just spit these accusations at anyone and they stick. But They've got evidence they aren't racist because they voted for a black man to be in charge of them. I mean, I don't know what else you can do. What else could you do that's more fucking openly anti-racist than that? If you vote for a black man to be in charge of you, how can they call you a racist? But they do. So yeah, this is bollocks. What we're talking about it for. 99.99% of the United States are not white supremacists. The numbers prove it. The voting records fucking prove it. The fact that you don't get people having Klan rallies and burning torches in people's front garden anymore proves it. So stop talking about it. They make up about 0.1% of the terrorist atrocities in the United States. Let that be the end of it. Look who has murdered people in the last 20 fucking years in the United States. 90% of them aren't committed by white supremacists, so what are we concentrating on the fringe minority? What are we doing? Again, I'm not pro these fucking dickheads, certainly not. But you're supposed to always grapple with the big problem first. And if there's one big problem, starting with 9/11 and carrying on to today, plaguing us, just like in the UK, look at the numbers. Dead women, dead kids. We've had Manchester bombing, we've had London Bridge, we've had 7/7, we've had Lee Rigby, it keeps going on and on and on, and we're all sitting here going, oh yeah, but what about the white supremacists? Fuck me. That problem can be dealt with when we've fixed all the big ones. It's going on about white supremacy now is the equivalent of your house is on fire and you're sitting there darning your socks, yeah? Fuck it, the house is on fire. I'm just going to darn these socks because this hole here has really been annoying me. If the fucking house is burning down, there's a big problem and there's a small problem. I'm not saying white supremacy isn't a problem. I've got no time for it, and I don't want to see anybody going out and committing murder because they've been indoctrinated into some dog shit ideology. But focus on the big one. If one ideology is roughly causing a few thousand deaths a year, and one's causing 2 or 3, grapple with the thousands, yeah? Then we'll worry about the other one. Yeah, don't start me on Emily Jones rag now. You know I get raged. Fucking raged. Like I said, the likes of Emily Jones and Little Safi from Manchester and Lee Rigby. And all we want to talk about is the occasional fucking wingnut that drives a car through a queue on Friday prayers or something. It's bollocks. It's like focus on the big issues and let the fucking small ones fix themselves gradually. The Rust assistant director has been sacked before. No fucking shit. I was going to click on it, but I promised I won't. This just proves me right from the video I made yesterday, right? You all watched it, I'm sure. The Rust assistant director has been sacked before. Of course he has. Of course he fucking has. So I can put these on one at a time because I'll be confusing people. No, you don't get the pictures. Oh well. Yeah. So that's just proven me right, innit? Been sacked before. It's again, we don't live in a meritocracy. It's a kakitocracy. The shittest person gets the job. How many times have I said it? I don't want to bore you because long-time watchers have probably seen me whinging about this a dozen times. We're living in a kakistocracy is the exact opposite of a meritocracy. The worst people get the job. You get a 6'2" ex-para turn up for the fire department interview and say, sorry mate, we want this little short fat bird because she's from fucking Trinidad and Tobago. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I want skills-based. If a young black woman goes into the firefighters academy and she can run 100 metres with a fat bloke on her shoulder faster than I can, give her the fucking job. I am 100% about ethnically, racially, religiously, sexuality blind testing. If a gay man can run the fucking assault course faster than me, he's a better man than me. Well, maybe not a man. I might be more morally virtuous, but he's a better fucking fireman than me. Give him the job. But don't dare tell me, when you're dealing with the public safety, that a little short fat dwarf who can't run 50 metres without spewing his ring up should be getting the job ahead of me. because he shouldn't. And that's the world we live in. Of course the director's been sacked before, because nobody gets fired. Nobody gets fired. Oh, you're totally fucking useless. Oh, well, maybe a verbal warning. I mean, it's seriously hard to get fired nowadays because we live in a cacistocracy. So, yeah, of course he's been sacked before. And now a young woman's got a fucking third eye as a result of it. Yeah, winner. All of these deaths, doesn't matter what we're talking about, can be prevented nowadays. 99% of them. We've got all this science, all this technology, all this CCTV, all these drones and all this amazing quasi-military technology. Why is the violent crime seem to be going up? Why is the murder rate going up? Because we do it on purpose. Because the people in charge are fucking useless. And they don't care about public safety. They know how to fix the problem. We've got the means to fix the problem, we've got the technology to fix the problem, and we've got the manpower to fix the problem. There's fucking 8 billion people. What we're hiring mentally ill, disabled fucking police officers for? Why? Well, we know why. Because they don't care about the public safety. That's why. My black mate is embarrassed by blacks have gone about racism today. Yeah. Of course they are. Again, conservative voting black people like those currently in the Conservative Party that talk about it a lot have proved that point. It's fucking embarrassing. It'd make you cringe. If you were a proud, hard-working individualist and you happen to be black or Asian or gay or any of the other fucking daft things they come up with now, anything on the victim pyramid, right? It doesn't have to be sexuality or gender or race. Could be any fucking thing. Come up with all sorts now. Asexual. I seen one of the police forces on Twitter talking about asexual. Oh my God, we've got to worry about the asexual community. Fucking hell, why? If you're asexual, what does that mean? You're not really into shagging. Fucking hell, join the club. I think I'm asexual. It's called being British, you cunt. Yeah, where's my fucking badge? Jesus. It's condescending. Everyone's embarrassed by it. All individualist, hard-working, conscientious people, regardless of any immutable characteristics, are fucking embarrassed by the woke left. It's bollocks. And they should be embarrassed. Right, so fuck that. Russ, the assistant director, of course he's been sacked before. Everyone's been sacked before. We don't fucking get rid of people. Teachers shag the students and they just move them schools. No shit, there was a bloke who I went to school with my year. I'm not going to name him because it's probably fucking illegal. You're not allowed to talk about convicts in this day and age. But there's a bloke from my year in school. Everyone in our town knows about it. Started shagging one of his students. He was a teacher. I think I was about, 30. It's probably about 10 years ago. Started shagging one of his students. He didn't get fired. They just moved him schools. He went 20 miles down the fucking road and I guess starts bumming everyone's kids there. It's like, you've rogered all the kids in Middlesbrough. Let's send you to Leeds to have a pop. Okay. If teachers don't get sacked for bumming the students, why would they sack a director for being mealy incompetent? Why would they do that? Or a copper for being useless? Or a firefighter for being a little fat loser who can't carry anyone down a ladder? Why would they fire them? They don't fire the teachers for folding up the students. They're not going to fire you for being useless, are they? Jesus wept. So yeah, of course, the assistant director's been sacked before. Let's move along. This is taking longer than I thought it would. I've just got a talent for talking total shit. How uncertainty can contribute to mental illness. Fucking hell. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is the top 5 stories on the BBC. Dog shit. Dog shit. Dog shit. Dog shit. Dog shit. I mean, okay, I can probably get behind that future one. But again, don't we know that? Strapping things to kids' faces isn't very good for their health. No fucking shit. What's the next story going to be? Nailing your testicles to the kitchen table can have detrimental physical effects. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Chopping your fucking right hand off at the wrist might sting a tad. Yeah, I know, thanks, BBC. I don't need your intrepid team of journalists to tell me that self-flagellation is a terrible idea. Thanks. Christ almighty. Hello, Paul. Good evening. So, what a lot of bollocks. Let's skip that one. How uncertainty can contribute to mental illness? Well, of course it can, because guess what? Humans like routine, we like order, we like discipline, we like being told what we're going to do. That's why when you're doing hard military training, they don't tell you. They don't put a nice little schedule on the wall so you know what's happening every day. Because uncertainty is shit. It's more tempering for your brain. So we know this stuff. Again, we knew this 100 years ago. What the fuck is the BBC doing? Do some real work. Go for a walk around Aleppo and tell me about the latest glut of fucking bombs that have gone off. Don't just sit there and what did you do for this? Go on Google for 10 minutes? Of course it contributes to fucking mental illness. Jesus. Holes in your chest contribute to bleeding to death. Yeah, cheers. We already knew, thanks. Exclusive images, all right, a photo of the Manchester bomb, a nice one. So we didn't manage to stop him killing a load of women and kids, but we got a fucking photo of his brother. Winner. Yeah, cheers for that. The Queen will not attend the climate change summit. Again, gobbledygook. This isn't fucking news. Bollocks, 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 bollocks. Old woman who feels a bit ill. That's the headline. Old woman feels a bit ill. Yeah, cheers. Me nana's kicked the bucket. Want to talk about that? She was old. It happens. One day, lass, Bootneck will also expire. It fucking happens. Canadian PM Justin Trudeau shuffles cabinet. Does nothing then. Does nothing. When they shuffle the cabinet nowadays, because they don't fire people, they just give them a different chair. Again, it's linked to what we talked about earlier. Nobody gets fired. You won't have sacked a lot of people, even if they're grossly incompetent. If they're grossly incompetent, because he's one of them, Justin Trudeau's a classic example. He hired a load of people based off what the colour is and what the gender is. So by definition, when you haven't got a big pool of people to pick from, a very narrow pool, just like we talk about with Dawn Butler, by definition, if you recruit from a narrow pool, you don't get the best people for the job. You get a load of idiots. Right? Totally, we've talked about it loads of times. If you say the next Labour MP from Middlesbrough is definitely going to be a short, fat, black woman, Muslim. Yeah, if she's going to be all of them, you pool for potential candidates. Whereas if you just did what I'd say and said, I don't care what you look like or what you are, I'm just going to give the best person the job, my pool of candidates is from 200,000 fucking people. Your pool of candidates in a northern town in England's probably about 10. Yeah? So by definition, unless you beat the odds completely by some sort of mathematical miracle, you're going to get an idiot. You're going to get an idiot. My pool of 200,000 will always beat your pool of 10. That's why China and the United States are at the top of the fucking Olympic table, isn't it? Estonia is not going to top the medals table. It's fucking maths. Math, if you're American. Sadwings, that one doesn't make any sense. One of my fellow Americans there, math. Doesn't make any sense. Mathematics. Got an S on the end. It's not called mather. Anyway, so it's bollocks. It's bollocks. Shuffles means does nothing. Moves a few chairs because everyone's grossly incompetent because they were hired for the immutable characteristics and not the talent or skill or work rate. So we'll just put them in different chairs and hope nobody notices that Canada is being ran by a muppet and his gender-bending, fucked in the head, woke cabinet. Nice one. Yeah, winner. Cheers, Justin. You're doing a good job, mate. Sport. Women's World Cup. Look, top sports story. Women's World Cup. Doesn't matter how much you push it. Ladies and gentlemen, doesn't matter how much you try. You can't get me into women's football on account of the fact it's a bit shit. Women aren't as fast as men. Women aren't as strong as men. Women are not as entertaining to watch in sport as a result. Apparently, tennis is one of the few that is popular because of that. Because the women have longer rallies. It's less about the smashing through the ace. I'll get behind that. I watch women's tennis. I've sat and watched women's tennis, not just because they're wearing short skirts and flinging themselves about, but actually because it's quite good. So there's some sports where you can watch women and it's quite entertaining. Football and rugby ain't two of them. So you can push it, ram it down my throat as much as you like, BBC. It's still a bit gash. Women's sport is women's football is under pants from Nikiak. If they didn't wear pants, maybe people would watch it. There's a suggestion for you, Football Association. They won't listen. They don't hire people for competency anymore either. Carabao Cup, 3 games, including Arsenal v Leeds. There's a nice, diverse Arsenal team. Scotland international friendly. Sweden, they'll lose again, and apparently it'll be Thatcher's fault. Yeah, the SNP have just said it's basically Thatcher's fault that they've been fucking up Scotland for the last 10 years. So we can all just blame Thatcher when Scotland inevitably get twatted by the Swedes, right? Definitely Thatcher's fault. Everybody knows it. And the weather, that's one fucking interesting thing they've managed. London weather, it's shit. Enjoy yourselves. Women's beach volleyball, yeah, I can see. I'll probably get into that. Women don't swap shirts at the end of a game. Very true, Blue Van Man. Women don't swap shirts at the end of a game. Why have you got a cross next to your name? You pop up in big letters for some reason. Is that like verified, like on Twitter? They won't verify me. I have opinions that are factually accurate. Although maybe you do as well. I don't know. I'm not casting aspersions. I've just never seen that before. Real. Look at the stories on Real. The ancient martial art feed by the British. So yeah, the natives are brilliant and the British are fucking useless. Yeah, well, how did that go? If it was so fucking awesome and it was so feed by the British Raj, how come we owned it for 200 years, you useless twats? I know that you like reality is coloured by your hatred and your ridiculous, factually inaccurate ideology. But if it's so feared by the British Raj, why didn't the Indians kick the shit out of the British? Why? Weird, that, innit? Look at this amazing native martial art. It's fantastic because it's Indian. It's definitely not British. It's amazing. Didn't seem to work very well. Weird. How come Britain owned India for 200 fucking years? Weird. Maybe that's just fake history. Maybe the British never took over India and it's all propaganda because their ancient martial art was so fucking good and the British were completely useless and couldn't run a piss up in a brewery. So, yeah, bollocks. Gandhi, it's all bollocks. There was no such... Gandhi was fictional because India was never ruled by the British, right? Just watch the BBC, you know. You can learn all the facts. This is what happens to your sense of self as a mother. Pointless, ridiculous, lefty claptrap about fucking motherhood. We've been squirting out kids since day dot. Since the first time we crawled out of the bastard oceans, humans have been shagging each other and squatting out kids. You can look, if Mick fucking Philpott can figure out how to squirt out 10 of the little bastards, I don't think we need the BBC to give us tactical advice on motherhood. Do you? Do you? Christ on a bike. Philpott grasped it. Philpott. Do you think he listens to BBC Real? No. Editor's picks. And this is the pick. Of course it's bollocks. Television's reckoning with the past. Yeah, we know why they think it's the best shit ever. Because it's race-baiting woke bollocks. Facebook earns 9 billion despite whistleblower scandal. Because that was bollocks as well, wasn't it? It was woke bollocks. China's ancient stairway. Yeah, China's brilliant as well. China's brilliant. Brilliant. They've got a climate footprint. Well, they haven't got a climate footprint. They've got a climate fucking Yeti print. China's got the biggest climate footprint you will ever see. It's like Smaug's fucking footprints. But you can't go to Spain twice a year, plumber. Dirty Scottish plumber. How dare you go to Spain with the kids once in a blue moon? Yeah, that's probably what that's going to be all about. More bigging up China and talking shit about the UK. Is HR ever really your friend? No, don't care. Why Agents of Doom threaten the world? Don't know what that is. Probably total shit. Can your sex life be ego-friendly? Oh my God. Yeah. Jizz on a tits. Done. Scientific. Mr. Bootneck should wear a white lab coat because there you go. I've squared that away. I'm like a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist crossed with a fucking Nobel Prize winning scientist. I've fixed the ego-friendly sex life question in half a second. Jizz on a tit. Yeah? Pearl necklace, sorted. No more problems. Fucking hell, this is easy. I should be in charge. This is easy. The one who gave up royal status to marry, Christ. She should teach Prince Harry a thing or two. Yeah? The Japanese know what they're doing. Bloke marries random arsehole from the general public, get rid. Because you can't guarantee you're not going to get married to an absolute woke, shit for brains lunatic. Yeah? The Japanese know the crack. We should copy them. Tesla surpasses $1 trillion valuation, and I think we're about done. Future planet, more shit about a sustainable world. I'm sick of talking about it, right? I've done it in about 6 stories. So we're done. The unexpected benefits of tiger. The unexpected benefits of natural things being in the sea. Well, what are you going to write a story? The unexpected benefits of tiger bottles. The unexpected benefits of Tizer cans floating in the ocean. No, it's not unexpected benefits. It's a fucking tiger shark. It's meant to be there. Meant to be there. Again, you learn this when you're 8, don't you? The unexpected benefits of worms. Yeah, they're there. If they're there naturally, they probably do something. It's a tiger shark, not a can of Tizer. We know it does stuff. Jesus. Anyway, fucking hell, that's over 40 minutes. See, I can't do it. There's too many. I guess when I shrank the screen, it's just threw them all on there. There you go. You'll have to take my word for it. It's all bollocks. It's all woke nonsense, climate change, mental health, because we've failed a generation and turned them all into mentally ill, introverted, fucking lock yourselves in your house, agoraphobic, no mates, no job, fucked in the head, suicidal, on loads of pills. This is basically what scrolling through the BBC page teaches you. The world's in ruins. We don't live in a meritocracy anymore. The newest generation have got a fucking fresh air in their heads. Everyone's mentally ill, taking pills, or looking for a reason to be a victim. Winner. That's the BBC for the day. I hope you enjoyed that slightly different take on today's events. Nothing to like it. No, there is, Paul. There is nothing to like here. It's the BBC website. There never will be. Thanks for watching. The BBC Spews Live. Like it and share it if you liked it. Call me a twat in the comments if you didn't. It's all good. Just don't start making shit up like my one resident troll, and you can enjoy a happy, relatively insulting life here. All right? Kate, Ragnar, and everybody else. Sad Wings, thanks for modding. And yeah, I'll probably see you tomorrow. Might have just watched Netflix movie Harder They Fall. Every town except one, a black road. The white town's painted all white. It's the Old West. Fuck me. Brilliant. Fictional history. Right. Cheers all. Thanks for watching. See you soon.